Why governments cannot stop stealing. We're about to spend the next little while unpacking something that hits every single one of us right where it counts. In the pocketbook and in the gut. You know that nagging sense that the system is rigged, that no matter how hard you work, more and more of your earnings just vanish into this endless maze of programs and promises that never quite deliver what they claim. Yeah, we're going there today, straight to the mechanics of how taxpayer money gets quietly funneled through layers of institutions and organizations, looping right back to the very people and interests that keep the whole machine humming. It's not some wild conspiracy. It's basic logic, incentives, and human nature colliding in plain sight. By the time we wrap up, you'll see exactly why this pattern keeps repeating across every so-called democratic society, and why the only real force that can break it is the one thing politicians fear most. Real economic pain hitting ordinary people hard enough to force a reckoning. Before we delve further into this exploration, allow me to offer a brief reminder. If any part of this discussion resonates with you, perhaps a striking insight or a moment of clear recognition, please consider liking and sharing the episode and ensuring you are following for future updates. Picture this. You wake up, check your bank account, and realize yet another chunk of what you earned yesterday has already been redirected, through taxes of course, into a vast network of nonprofits, aid programs, subsidies, and contracts. On paper, it's all for the greater good. Helping the vulnerable, saving the planet, strengthening security, advancing science, you name it. Sounds noble, but follow the money with clear eyes and cold reason, and you start to see the loop. Governments hand out billions to these organizations, which then act as extensions of the ruling mindset, pushing agendas that keep the same political class in power and enriched. The organizations hire allies, lobby for more funding, and sometimes even cycle donations or influence right back into the system that feeds them. It's self-reinforcing, like a closed circuit where your money powers the very machine that extracts more of it next year. And the beautiful part, or the tragic one, depending on how you look at it, is that it's all done legally, wrapped in the language of compassion and progress. Let's break it down without the rose-colored glasses. Start with the nonprofits and so-called independent groups that receive direct public grants. A huge slice of their budgets comes straight from taxpayers, yet they operate with the freedom to advocate for policies that expand government reach and protect the status quo. Think about it logically. Once an organization depends on these flows for survival, its survival instinct kicks in. It will defend the hand that feeds it, even if that means burying waste, inefficiency, or outright diversion. Research across the board shows this isn't rare. It's the norm. Taxpayer dollars flow in, the groups hire former officials or connected insiders at fat salaries, and suddenly those same people are back in the game. Maybe donating, maybe consulting, maybe drafting the next round of regulations that justify even bigger budgets. It's not charity. It's a revolving door dressed up as civil society. And when anyone points out the obvious conflict, the response is always the same. But we need these groups to hold power accountable. Sure, except the accountability never seems to touch the funding pipeline itself. Now layer in foreign assistance and development programs. On the surface, it's about lifting up struggling regions. Dig deeper, though, and you see how much of it is structured to come right back home. Contracts for goods and services often favor suppliers from the donor side. Consultants get paid handsomely. A meaningful percentage, sometimes openly tied, sometimes quietly, recycles into the donor economy, enriching connected firms while the public back home foots the bill and wonders why their own infrastructure is crumbling. Add fragmentation, multiple overlapping programs from different bureaucracies, and the opportunities for skimming multiply. Studies consistently show that when too many hands touch the pot, oversight gets diluted, and corruption finds its openings. The result? Billions promised for genuine need end up lining pockets in a chain that starts and ends with political sponsors. Your money travels abroad only to return as profit for the insiders who designed the program. Feel that? That's not aid. That's a sophisticated extraction tool. The same pattern repeats in defense and security spending. Huge budgets get approved for protection and readiness, but the contracts flow to a handful of entrenched players who know how to navigate the system. Lobbying is intense. Revolving doors spin between government offices and corporate boards, and suddenly the national interest aligns perfectly with whatever keeps those specific firms flush. It's regulatory capture in action. The watchdogs start thinking like the industry they're supposed to oversee because their future careers depend on it. Reason tells us this isn't incompetence. It's incentive alignment. Politicians get campaign support and post office gigs. Contractors get guaranteed revenue. Taxpayers get the bill and whatever hardware actually gets delivered, if it gets delivered on time and on budget, which it rarely does. Health and emergency procurement follow the exact script. Remember those massive contract rushes during crises? When speed is the excuse, normal bidding rules get suspended. Favored suppliers, often with deep political ties, land deals at inflated prices. Post-crisis audits reveal overpayments, poor quality, and connections that smell like favoritism. Yet the system shrugs and moves on to the next emergency. The logic is brutal but clear. Crises create cover for crony flows, and once the money moves, the recipients become stakeholders who will fight tooth and nail to keep the spigot open. Then there's the green transition and climate-related spending. Subsidies pour into renewables, efficiency projects, and related initiatives. On paper, it's about saving the planet. In practice, it's another subsidy pipeline to selected industries and organizations. Connected firms get cheap capital, guaranteed markets through mandates, and tax breaks that ordinary businesses could only dream of. When the subsidies dry up or the projects underperform, the losses land on the public. Meanwhile, the same groups that receive the funds lobby for even stricter rules that lock in their advantage. It's classic distortion of the free market. Government picks winners, distorts prices, and crowds out genuine innovation that might actually compete on merit. The emotional kicker? While families struggle with higher energy costs, the insiders toast to another successful grant cycle. Education, science, and social programs fit the mold too. Billions get redirected to institutions and initiatives that align with the prevailing ideology, often heavy on redistribution, identity frameworks, and long-term social engineering. The money doesn't just vanish. It builds constituencies. Universities and think tanks become dependent, produce research that justifies more spending, and train the next generation of bureaucrats to keep the cycle alive. It's not organic growth. It's engineered dependency. Now, here's where cold reason really dismantles any comforting counter-narratives. Some folks will argue, but we have oversight, audits, transparency laws. Democracy fixes this. Emotionally appealing, sure, but logic shreds it. Once the network is built, thousands of organizations, contractors, and officials whose livelihoods depend on the status quo. Reversal means career suicide. Politicians who try to cut the flows get attacked by the very groups they funded, who suddenly discover threats to civil society. The monsters they created turn on them. Public choice logic is unforgiving here. Concentrated benefits for the insiders versus diffuse costs for everyone else. Most citizens stay rationally ignorant because one vote feels powerless against a machine this big. Rational ignorance plus concentrated interests equals policy that keeps expanding until the wallet pain becomes unbearable. Appeals to more regulation only add layers that the insiders learn to navigate better than anyone. History shows these systems don't self-correct. They accelerate until external pressure, usually economic collapse or mass discontent, forces change. And that brings us to the heart of the awakening mechanism. The most sensitive organ in any society isn't the heart or the brain. It's the wallet. When economic hardship bites deep enough, when inflation erodes savings, taxes rise to feed the machine, and living standards slip, the pain cuts through all the slogans. People start asking the simple question, where did my money actually go? That question is dangerous to the system because it leads to the next one. Why can't they stop? The answer is straightforward and brutal. The ruling mindset, rooted in Marxist and Bolshevik traditions of central planning and forced redistribution, can't reverse course without dismantling the patronage networks it built. NGOs, aid programs, green subsidies, defense contractors, they're not side projects. They're the life support system. Cut them and the allies turn feral. So the spending spirals. More wind and solar mandates, more gender and identity projects abroad, more endless aid packages, more health contracts, more everything. The orgy of waste climbs higher because stopping would mean admitting the whole edifice was a self-serving illusion. One sharp insight captures it perfectly. The economic reality will eventually override every ideological fairy tale. Corona was a brutal slap that woke a chunk of people to the overreach. Now the bill is coming due, and the pain will finish the job. It might take 1 year, 2, or 5, but the trajectory is locked in. The panic you see, calls for more censorship, more suppression of dissent, comes from the same fear. They know the wallet is waking the masses faster than any pamphlet ever could. So what do we do with this? First, recognize it for what it is. Not a bug in the system, but the system working exactly as designed under Marxist redistribution logic layered over free market rhetoric. Second, protect your own economic sovereignty where you can. Support genuine free market competition that rewards merit, not connections. Third, stay awake. Talk to your neighbors. Share the receipts. Keep asking where the money went. Because the moment enough wallets feel the squeeze simultaneously, the awakening becomes unstoppable. The house of cards built on other people's money has a shelf life, and we're living through its final chapters. Thanks for riding along with me on this one. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your reasoning sharp. The truth is uncomfortable, but it's the only thing that sets us free. Take care. Stay safe.